Good morning, everyone. Warm greetings to one and all who have joined here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to day one of the virtual faculty development program on cyber physical systems organized by the Department of Information Technology, Dr. M.G.R. Educational and Research Institute. Technology is best when it brings people together. It's a saying by Mr. Matt Mullenweg. Indeed, this FDP is a vibrant platform where academic minds converge to explore the realm of intelligent systems. So, cyber-physical systems are an integration of computation, networking, and physical processes. So, these systems are the cornerstone of innovations like smart healthcare, intelligent transportation, Industry 4.0, and autonomous systems. Over the next 5 days, we are going to explore more about the cyber physical systems with the help of our knowledgeable and experienced resource person. To formally start this event, I now request Dr.N.Kanya, our head of the department, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Dahlia ma'am. Respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and dear participants. It is with a great pleasure to welcome you all to the inauguration of 5 days virtual faculty development program on the theme Cyber Physical System, organized by Department of Information Technology and Center of Excellence for Cyber Physical Systems of Dr. N.K. Educational Research Institute. The first and foremost, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed leader, the esteemed founder Chancellor, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam sir, and our President, Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar sir, for their solid support and visionary leadership have been the instrumental in organizing this significant program. We are honored to have our Vice Chancellor, Dr.Geethalakshmi M.D, to deliver the inaugural address. We welcome you, ma'am. Her vast knowledge and experience will surely provide us with a valuable insight. Over the next 5 days, we will deliver and dive into various verticals of cyber physical system with sessions conducted by distinguished experts in this field. Day one, we are having Dr. Neelanarayanan, Professor, School of Computer Science and Engineering, VIT-Chennai, to deliver a talk on Introduction to Cyber Physical System and Application. Welcome you, sir. On day two, the title will be Communication and Networking in CPS. It will be delivered by Dr. Vadivelu, Geetham University, Bangalore. He is a professor and head in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Geetham University. Day three will be Model Simulation and Real-Time Systems in CPS. It will be delivered by Dr. K. Hemalata, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Specialization AI in Madanapalli Institute of Technology and Science. Day 4 will be Security, Privacy, Safety in CPS. It will be by Dr. Sai Ramesh. He is a professor in School of Computer Science and Engineering, St. Joseph Institute of Technology. Day 5, the title will be Research Trends, Tools for CPS. It will be taken care by Dr. Rakil Ani Kumar. He is a professor in School of Computer Science and Engineering, VIT, Vellore. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the coordinators, organizers of this program, Professor A. Kameshwaran and Professor Santalakshmi from the Department of IT. Their dedication and meticulous planning have been an instrument in making this program reality. Additionally, my heartfelt appreciation goes to the entire team from the Department of IT, their unwavering support and hard work. My heartfelt welcome to all the participants throughout the India who have joined to our FDP. We got an overwhelming response from all of you. I welcome you all. My heartfelt welcome to you all. Kindly maintain the digital ethic throughout the program and raise your question in the end of the session, and also you can post your question in the chat box. Once again, a warm welcome to each and every one of you. May this program be a rewarding and enriching experience for all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that warm words of welcome. To grace this occasion, we are honored to have our respected Vice Chancellor, Dr.S.Geethalakshmi M.D. with us. I now humbly invite Madam to deliver the felicitation address.
Hello. Yes. Thank you for inviting for this program. And in fact, Kekda, hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Yeah. So it's good morning to all for the IT department, entire IT department team, and all the esteemed colleagues and faculty, and dear students and the participants who have registered for this program on the cyber physical system and its application. So, on this day and on the inauguration of this, I would thank our chairman and chancellor A.C. Shanmugam and our president A.C.S. Arun Kumar for giving the department an opportunity to go through entire nation on the cyber physical systems and its application. In fact, this is a transformative domain at the convergence of the physical and the digital world. In an era where technology is no longer a support function, but a driving force, cyber physical systems are reshaping the way we live, work, and interact with our environment. From smart manufacturing and autonomous vehicles to intelligent healthcare systems and critical infrastructure, CPS is at the heart of the fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4.0. At its core, the cyber physical system integrates computation, networking, and physical processes. This embedded computers and network monitors, and it controls the physical processes, usually with feedback loops where physical processes affect computations and vice versa. The implication of this are profound. We are moving towards a system that are not just automated, but intelligent and adaptive and secure. So, however, this exciting process also brings new challenges: security, privacy, interoperability, scalability, and ethical implication, which must all be addressed if the CPS is to reach its full potential. These challenges require multidisciplinary collaboration between computer scientists, engineers, ethicists, policymakers, and more on. That is why this gathering, forums for dialogue, innovation, and collaboration is very crucial now at the present time. They provide a platform for exchanging ideas, sharing research, showcasing innovation, and most importantly, inspiring the next generation of thinkers and leaders. As we go into this session, let us commit to the fostering not just technological advancement, but it responsible innovation and application. Let us build a system that are not only smart and efficient, but also inclusive, resilient, and secure. I commend these organizers, the IT department for their vision and effort in bringing, and of course, Kanya for the initiative to giving life to this CPS system. I wish all the participants a productive and inspiring experience. May the ideas sparked here today lay the foundation for tomorrow's breakthrough. Thank you, one and all, for the great enthusiasm. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words. Your vision continues to guide us through academic excellence. So let me quickly brief the guidelines for the participants. So the FDP is between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Today, it will start a little late. Tomorrow onwards, it will start on time. So session starts today and it will end on May 30th. Feedback link will be shared towards the end of the session here in the Zoom chat box. It will be active for half an hour. It is the participants' responsibility to stay connected till the end. It will not be shared in the WhatsApp group or by mail. All the candidates who have registered for the FDP are not eligible for certification. E-certificates will only be provided for the participants who are active, and attendance will be taken automatically by Zoom and based on the feedback form submission also. If you have any queries, you can post in the chat box at any time. It will be answered towards the end during the Q&A session by our resource person. Please avoid other unnecessary discussion in the chat box. So today, for our day one, we are privileged to have with us Dr. V. Neelanarayanan, Professor, School of Computer Science and Engineering, VIT-Chennai. His rich expertise in cyber physical systems, IoT, edge computing, has inspired numerous researchers and scholars across the country. He's the right person to start for us to have today to start off this FDP. So we are delighted to have you with us, sir. To introduce sir, I now invite Dr. R. Selvi, Associate Professor, Department of IT, to give the introduction of our speaker.
Dr. V. Neelanarayanan is a seasoned academician and technologist with over 17 years of expertise in computer networking, distributed computing, and strategic technology management. Currently a professor at VIT-Chennai, India. He brings extensive experience in both research and education, complemented by the strong track record in leading interdisciplinary projects and academic programs. He holds a Ph.D. in computer science from IT University of Copenhagen, Denmark, and has played pivotal roles in international and national research initiatives, including projects funded by Spark DST India, the Danish Council for Strategic Research, and the Development Gateway Foundation USA. His contributions span grid and cloud computing, content delivery networks, and network management and security. A committed educator and mentor, Dr. Neelanarayanan has guided 9 PhD scholars to completions and actively supports ongoing doctoral research. He is known for his leaderships in curriculum design, lab establishment, and faculty training in emerging technologies. He has also served as a head of the Department of Cyber Physical System and has a coordinator key research groups at VIT. With more than 60 peer-reviewed publications, 7 books, 2 patents, and several funded and consultancy projects, Dr. Neelanarayanan is a recognized thought leader in this field. His strategies, visions, and collaborative approach continue to drive innovations in academia and applied technology. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I think you are muted, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, one and all present here. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for providing me this opportunity. So today's session, we will cover a little bit of what is there in textbooks, and then we will discuss more on the various research projects that we have worked in this particular domain. So that's how I have planned this session, not much of theory or anything. You can actually pose questions on the experience that I am sharing you, and maybe we will take some 10-15 minutes at the end to answer your questions. Well, first of all, what is this? Today's session is about introduction to cyber physical system and what are all the possible applications. Specifically, I will be discussing with one application, and then we will also discuss more on the research that we have done on this particular topic. So, the Vice Chancellor, ma'am, when she was talking about the industrial revolution. So, what are all the different industrial revolutions that has happened across the world, and what kind of impact it had on our lives? So, in 1780s, the industry 1.0 occurred. Basically, what they did is the invention of steam engine, and also that actually resulted in movement of people.
Sir, are you there? Neelanarayanan, sir, are you there?
So earlier, actually, handloom was prevailing throughout the world, but after mechanization, then things were different. It helped to transport the raw material from one place to another place and to manufacture the product in a different part of the world. So it is I would like to say that that is the first step in globalization. And I have personally visited UK, Manchester, and I have seen the old mills that were running there. Of course, currently those mills are not functioning now, but I understood the history, like the cotton, which was the cotton crop from India was exported or moved to UK, and then there they converted into finished goods, and once again it was imported back to India. Such things happen, and you can visit. We are visiting Manchester, you could actually see those things actually, the kind of environment and other. Okay, that was in 1780s, and then 1870s of electrical energy, and that led to mass production, and assembly line came into picture. And then in 1970s, the invention of computers and came into picture, and also networking also came into picture. So that actually revolutionized a lot. And microcontrollers were introduced, and that also led to automation. So now what kind of world are we living? We are today in the world, we have Industry 4.0 and cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, and networking technology. The development in these technologies have enabled Industry 4.0. So if you ask me, this cyber physical system and Industry 4.0 are one and the same. Now it is different. We will see what is the difference between different technologies and how they vary. So those things also we will look into it for a better understanding the technology. So what kind of impact it has, the fourth industrial revolution, what kind of impact does it has on us? So first one is security. Earlier we were talking about cyber security, but at present we are talking about IoT security. And then earlier we had these transactions which are centralized database management systems. But now we are in the era of blockchain, which is a distributed transaction management system. And then we have in the interfaces. So computer applications has also changed a lot. Earlier we had buttons and we were interacting with the application by clicking the buttons, moving the mouse, all those things. But now what we have is voice and gestures. So we are actually controlling everything through our voice and gestures. For example, we all know about smart homes. In smart home, if you want to switch on light, you can just through your voice, you can switch on. Also, for example, if you want to search something in Google, you have voice assistants that help you to search in the Google. And also you have assistants which are capable of opening a particular application for you. You need not click on anything. You can, through your voice, control the entire world. And then the decision making earlier in business, Excel or spreadsheets played an important role in analyzing the data and arriving at the insights and decisions. Now you have artificial intelligence, especially machine learning techniques, which helps you to analyze the data and to arrive at the decision. You have even prediction is possible by analyzing the historical data. And it has, we also see a lot of impact on mobility. So when we want to move from one place to another place, whatever the transport system that we are going to use, usually you require an expert, say driver, to move the vehicle, drive the vehicle from one place to another place. But now what we are in the era of autonomous car, so driverless car. So we have software-based cars which can move or which can take people from one place to another place. It is not only car, we have autopilot, a lot of things have come into picture which actually automates. If you go to UK and some parts of Europe, we can see a lot of people from India and assembly line was introduced and then the production was increased. But humans were working in the assembly lines. Now we have an environment where robots are used in the assembly lines, and this has a great impact on the production. The main problem is like, so once you replace humans with robots, the accuracy and the precision will be high. On the other hand, a lot of people will lose their jobs. That kind of impact is going to happen, and it is already happening. But in my opinion, even when computers were introduced in India, there was a lot of resistance saying that these computers would replace the humans and humans will be jobless. But what happened is a history, and we all know that it actually generated new job roles and new workforce in India, and that actually helped us to move a lot. It helped us, it helped the middle class to earn more money, and we know what happened. So similarly, I would also expect that introduction of robots and other automation will not take away the job, but instead it would actually introduce new type of job roles in the market. Only thing is we have to see whether we are fitting into the new roles. So for that, maybe we have to upgrade our skills. So that will happen. That's what I feel. Well, Industry 4.0, what are all the various technologies that are there to advance or to support? What are all the enabling technologies for Industry 4.0? So you have 3D printing, you have networking, you have 5G, you have artificial intelligence for decision making, you have augmented reality and virtual reality, and then you have automated guided vehicles, then you have blockchain, which is nothing but distributed database, and then you have cloud for storing your data as well as for processing the data in a large scale. And then you have cobots, cyber security, digital twin, drones, edge computing, IoT platforms, machine vision, quantum computing. So these are all there. And cyber physical system is also one of the enabling technology. So then you may have a question like IoT is already there, and what is the cyber physical system going to do? Or IoT and cyber physical system is one and the same. So we will come to that little later, but we can see that they are actually two different things complementing to each other. So that we will see actually. So where it started? It started with the embedded systems, and now we have crossed the cyber physical system. Now what we have is cyber physical production systems. So that is what that can also be once again an enabler technology for industry 4.0. So all these technologies are not competing with each other. Instead, they help you to advance. So let us look at how the earlier days were. So we all know that there are two types of computing devices are possible. One is a general purpose computer. The next one is specifically designed for a particular application. So you have general purpose processors, and then you have processor which can be used for a specific application. So embedded systems are the founding or building concept, basic concepts for developing very specific applications. And later we had smart sensors. And these what is the difference between a normal sensor and a smart sensor? This normal sensor will observe some data, and that data is actually sent to a higher level machine. Doesn't process that data and doesn't make any decision. On the other hand, smart sensors have the ability not only to sense the data, but also to process. In order to process the data, what we have to do is we have to add storage and processing power to the sensors. Is it possible to add processing and storage for all type of sensors? No, it is not literally, it is not possible actually. Only certain type of sensors we will be able to add processing and storage. Such sensors are known as smart sensors. And with smart sensors, what we are doing is actually we are developing smart systems. For example, smart plug, smart bulb. So these are all systems which actually, based on the sensed information, make some decision, and it automatically controls the system. For example, a smart bulb, it knows when to switch on itself and when to switch off. So how does it do that? You just measure the intensity of light in a room, and based on that, you decide whether to switch on the bulb or not. So that such systems are known as smart systems. And then you have cyber physical system. Cyber physical system is not just, it doesn't just contain smart system, but it also has, various devices integrated to complete a particular function. For example, you have the CBS braking system in vehicles. Most of the vehicles are actually having this system nowadays. It's there in two-wheelers as well as four-wheelers. So what is the purpose of such a system? That is an example of a cyber system. The purpose is, so when you are going at a high speed and then you are slowing the speed of a vehicle, so it should not skid and other things, it should not happen. Therefore, what it does is it actually measures the environment and accordingly controls the braking system. So such systems are known as cyber physical systems. And what is the cyber physical production systems? So when you have in an industry, if you are completely doing an automation product, for example, controlling the production in an assembly line without any human intervention, you can look at the diagram, there are no humans involved. So such systems are known as cyber physical production systems. Okay. So now let us look at what is this cyber physical system, what the literature says. So the cyber physical systems are systems that are built from and depend upon seamless integration of computation and the physical technologies. Basically, machines are physical systems. Okay. So now what we do is we combine the computation, or we provide the computation to the physical system. Okay. And we also enable communication between the physical system and the computation system. So 3 C's form the foundation of cyber physical system. What are they? One is the control, which actually controls the physical device. Then you have a computation, which helps you to make informed decision by analyzing the data. And then you have communication, which helps you to communicate between the various components. Okay. So this is a very generic definition. We will look at a standard definition later. So advances in cyber physical system, what it does, it will enable capability, adaptability, usability. And therefore, we extend or we expand the horizons of the critical systems. Okay. CBS technologies are transforming the way people interact with engineered systems. It is we expect that this transformation will be very similar to the people currently use internet. So internet is not just for transferring the data from one place to another place. So that is the foundation of networking. We have applications, different kinds of applications, which earlier we never even thought about. For example, you have this payment system. Okay. And one of my friend who recently visited me from Australia was wondering, you have enabled or you have correctly used the technology for empowering the people. So now if you go anywhere, you can find business people, small business people or vendors using the digital payment system. So they have GPA is there everywhere. You go and have a cup of coffee in your canteen, and you use GPay for paying the bill. So this is the kind of technology that empowers the people. So similar kind of empowering will also happen. You ask me when it should have happened now, but unfortunately because of the pandemic that prevailed for more than 3 years, it has slowed down. But however, these things will happen in due course of time. Well, now, as I told you, there are three things. One is the computation, the second is control, third one is communication. A mechanism that is controlled or monitored by computer-based algorithms tightly integrated with the internet and its user. That's what we call it as a cyber physical system. Once again, this is a very simple definition that we are giving to cyber physical system. Okay, we were talking about physical systems. What is this physical and what is the cyber? The physical devices are systems plus the environment. Cyber is about the computational devices or the computational infrastructure plus the communication infrastructure. These two come under cyber. And then the word physical in the cyber physical systems represent physical devices or systems and its environment. So that's how the cyber physical system differ from the traditional systems. So cyber physical system, what it does to integrate basically sensing, computation, control, and networking into physical objects and their infrastructure. So basically it provides, cyber physical system provides the physical systems the ability to sense, the ability to control themselves, the ability to compute, the ability to communicate. With whom they do all these things? Between the physical objects and the infrastructure. Basically, they also connect, the cyber physical system connect the physical objects to the internet and to each other. So this is very important. So that's what we mean by cyber physical system. So cyber system actually consists of computers and communication devices. Physical devices or physical system consists of sensors, actuators, and the users. So what happens is the data that is obtained in real time by the physical system is fed into the computer system, and the computer system, what it does is it analyzes the collected data and then it actually makes decision. And that poses the feedback from the cyber system to the physical system. Based on the decisions that are made and based on the feedback it obtains, this physical system controls itself through actuators. So that is about cyber physical. So now let us look at a very simple example of cyber physical system. So we know that in the world, a lot of people are diabetic. And initially we start with tablets. At one stage, the tablets are not sufficient. So what we do is we take insulin. And to inject insulin into our body, what the current situation in India is like you have to go to a nearby nursing home or hospital, you get the insulin injected into your body with the help of a technical expert like a nurse or a doctor. So this is what is happening. And now we are thinking about whether this can be automated or not. So when you go to a doctor, what happens actually? You look at your blood sugar level, and then he decides the dosage. What usually happens is the dosage is not actually changed every day. Instead, the dosage is actually fixed for a certain period of time. So, say for every 1 month, he will say, like, take the sugar level readings through various clinical tests, and then based on that, he will say he will prescribe the amount of insulin that has to be taken by a patient. And daily go to the nursing home or a hospital, and the nurse actually administers the injection of insulin. So this is what is actually happening. But now what has changed is, instead of having a fixed dosage, we continuously monitor the glucose level. So, and then what we do is actually based on that, the decision can be made. So what you have is you have a sensor that actually measures the glucose level, and based on that, you decide on the amount of insulin that need to be pumped into our body. So to do that, to decide, to make a decision on the amount of insulin that can be administered to a patient, to have control regardless. So clinical trials have been done. So we will talk more about this insulin pump later, but you can get some data to understand how the cyber physical systems are helpful. So you have something called A1C level, which measures the glucose level in the blood. So patients who are having this A1C level in a range of 8.3 to 7. It was dropped from 8.3 to 7.5. Okay, while using this automated insulin pump. On the other hand, when the patients were actually manually insulin was management was done, it was 8.1 to drop to 8. So more details you can find in this link that I have provided. But understand that continuous monitoring of glucose level and automatic administration of the insulin through automated insulin pump helps you to control the sugar levels in the blood in a better way than a manual intervention. So we'll look into more details. We have a case study on this, so we'll look into more details how this works and other things. Well, now I want to know what are all the various components of the cyber physical system. So as I told you, in the physical world, in cyber physical system, what we do is we provide the ability to sense the environment. So for that, you require sensors. So not one single sensor, you may require multiple sensors. So you have something called a sensor network, and the sensor network will be sensing the environment. And then you have actuator network that helps you to implement or to control the physical device and to implement the decision that is taken. So the sensed information is given to the cyber system, and the cyber system would analyze the data and make a decision using AML technique. And this information is actually given as a command to the actuator, and the actuator actually implements the command. And then we have the communication network that connects the physical world and the cyber. Okay, so now let us look at what are there in the physical world and what are there in the cyber world. Devices and entities that will be monitored or controlled are designated as the physical world. So the device that you want to monitor or the device that you want to control, that constitute the physical world. Normally you have like sensors and actuators. And then you have embedded devices that incorporate cutting edge technology. And what does this cutting edge technology allow? This cutting edge technology will allow to exchange the data in the distributed environment, and they are termed as cyber systems. And then you have intermediary components such as sensors and actuators, analog to digital, digital to analog converters. And then these intermediary devices help you to communicate with the physical world. And they are actually called as interfaces. So basically what we have is, we have a physical world, we have a cyber world, and then we have interfaces that allow you to communicate between these two worlds. Okay, what are all the characteristics of a cyber system? So why do we want to have identify a cyber physical system? See, the problem is each one define cyber physical system in a different, using different terminology. So now we have a question, which definition should be followed? So instead of looking at the definition, what we do is we define the characteristics of a system to be called as a cyber physical system. If a system possesses these characteristics, then we call it as a cyber physical system. So this actually emerged after cloud computing came into picture. So cloud computing, we all know that is a form of distributed computing. Before cloud, we had grid computing. And grid computing is one form of distributed computing facility or infrastructure. So whatever you are talking in cloud is already available in grid computing. For example, grid computing provides access to high performance computing through internet, and you can use any device to access the grid computing. So this is what we talk about cloud computing also. So you can access cloud from anywhere, anytime. Okay, that is one aspect. Second aspect of grid computing is it will provide infinite. You can assume that there is infinite amount of computational and storage power that is available for you to access. That's what cloud is also talking about. It says that you can have on-demand computing. That means whenever you require computational or storage power, then you get it from us. So that is what cloud computing people also call. So now we have a question. Then if everything is same as the grid computing, why you call a new terminology, or why you are coming up with a new name for a technology? So there is a difference. What is the difference? The difference is the elasticity. Elasticity means the ability to grow as well as shrink based on the computational requirement. So the ability to increase is there in grid, but the ability to shrink is not there in the grid computing. That is one aspect. The second aspect of cloud computing is multi-tenant. What do you mean by multi-tenant? Because of virtualization, it's possible that on a resource, or a resource can be used by multiple user applications. So that is what we call it as multi-tenancy. So for example, you have, earlier we had independent house and then we had apartments. So if you look at further, Nowadays, what you do is you have this PG accommodation. What you do in PG accommodation, a portion of a flat is actually rented to an individual or a group of people. Only a portion, only one single room belongs to you. The rest of the things are maybe it belongs to some other person. So this is what we call it as multi-tenancy. So more than one tenant is using the same resource, or like in the case of a house. So these two features are absent in grid, and therefore, if these two features are there in your distributed computing technology, then you can safely call it as a cloud technology, in addition to the characteristics that is possessed by the grid. Similarly, we have a lot of technologies that are coming in. For example, Internet of Things, then IIoT, and then you have edge computing, you have fog computing. So you have different technologies that are lining up. And what is the cyber physical system, and how it is different from other systems? To answer these questions, we have a set of characteristics, and these characteristics actually define a cyber physical system. And if you find these characteristics in your system, and then you can safely call it as a cyber physical system. So what is it? So basically, the cyber physical system consists of physical system. They are responsible for recognizing and interpreting real-time data collected from the physical. So basically, the data exists in different formats. See, some could be a heat wave, or like a thermal wave. For example, and some could represent the data in a different format. For example, thermistor actually absorbs the heat energy, and this heat energy is actually converted to electrical signals. So there is an equivalent electrical signal for representing the thermal energy. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the physical system to observe the real world parameters and convert them into more meaningful data. Okay. And next one is the information systems, which have the ability to collect, store, and analyze the data that is collected by the physical system. And for this, what you have is the networking. So the networking capabilities provide the ability to transfer the data from the physical system to the cyber system. So what it consists, it could actually, the information system could deal with something called network latency, memory management, data validation, and reconciliation. And also it could have hierarchical data storage management system. So these things form the information system. And then we have intelligent network of heterogeneous distributed system. What do you mean by heterogeneous? The resources are not of the same type. You have resources which are of different types. For example, you have sensors, then you also have actuators, you have high power servers, you have your desktop, you can have handheld mobile devices. So all these things are not one and the same. These devices are different and they have different characteristics. And next one is robustness. Robustness and security. So what do you mean by robustness? Robustness is the ability of a processing system to deal with errors during the input and execution. So when you see, we are actually dealing with physical systems. So any physical system is subjected to have errors and failures. So you should be able to overcome these problems. So when you have errors in the observed data, And when you process this data, during computation also you will have errors. So that is during execution, and that also you need to handle. Finally, security. What is security? So when you are having information stored in a device, and that device is connected to internet or any other form of network, and probably security is paramount. That means once you get connected, connect your device to a network, and then the data that is stored in that device can be actually obtained by unauthorized people. So you need to take care of this particular aspect. Security needs to handle two aspects. One is when the data is at rest, and the second one is when the data is at movement. So what do you mean by that? So you collect some information, and then what you do, you transfer the data. So while transferring the data also you need to ensure security, and the transferred data may be stored, for example, in cloud storage. And while storing the data in the cloud storage also, you need to take care of the security. So security you need to address at two places: when the data is moving and when the data is stored. So what other things the cyber physical system brings into picture? For example, sensors, when they are collecting the data and transmitting the data, this sensed data cannot be encrypted. The sensors will not have the ability to encrypt, because once you want to encrypt the data, then you require computational and storage power. And you require a key and then processing power to encrypt the data. So, which is practically not possible for all type of sensors. So you need to actually be very careful with the security aspects. And cyber physical systems, there may be humans. For example, in a medical device, you have patients. And so there will be data that is associated with a individual, which are private to him. And that information, since you are connecting various devices through network, and that information also will become vulnerable. So that also we need to prevent. So these robustness and security is one of the important characteristics of the cyber physical system. So what does it mean? It means that you need to take care of these two. So these are all there. Apart from that, so we could see that cyber physical system is not coming from one particular domain. You have sensors, so you have actuators. These are actually designed and developed by electrical and electronics engineers. And then you have the cyber world where computer science people are actually working. And always you also have the application domain. So there will be experts for working on a particular application domain. So basically it is an interdisciplinary area in which we are going to work. So working with interdisciplinarity is really challenging. So you can look at this picture. This is the very famous elephant and the 5 blind person. So when you have a blind person asked to check a elephant, different people will have different perception. For example, you look at this person, he is looking at the ears of the elephant. For him, it is like a hair. So for him, the trunk is like a snake. For this person, the body of an elephant is equivalent to a ball. So the tail is equivalent to rope. Like that, different people will have a different opinion. So we are actually working with a multidisciplinarity. So each one will have a different perception. So that is the challenge of working in a multidisciplinary team. Okay. So for example, for some people, a cyber physical system could be a small computer. For some who is an expert in network, it would be like it is yet another type of network. And then some may be looking at cyber physical system and say that it is a connected industrial system. And then you also have someone could say that it is a big and complex system. Some people may say that it is advanced manufacturing technique. Some people claim it to be a robot. So what is it really? Is it what these people are thinking? No, it is more than that. Okay. So then, so now let us look at what is the difference between IoT and cyber system. So it seems to be sensors are already there in IoT. See, the information is being sensed. And decisions are also made. So how does it differ from cyber physical system? See, IoT is not anything specific to one particular domain. It is a very generic technology. You can store the device in cloud or fog or edge servers, and it is not mandatory also. If you have different types of options that are available. And IoT are very, very much scalable. What do you mean by that scalable? The number of IoT devices are actually increasing day by day. So that's what we call it as scalability. Okay, and then the amount of data that is generated in an IoT system or IoT environment is very vast and very, very huge. And also the security and privacy aspects for an IoT device is different from cyber physical system. Because in IoT, we look at individual devices. On the other hand, in cyber physical system, you look at the devices that are integrated to achieve a particular task. So in an essence, we can say that IoT is a subset of cyber physical system. So there is see, you can look at when you are talking about relationship, you can think about A intersection B. So some A is one technology and B is another technology. There may be some commonalities. So that's what we call A intersection B. Or A can be contained in B, or B can be contained in A. So these things also could happen actually. So we have to carefully analyze and see what is what. Okay, and then communication technologies that are used in IoT are RFID, ZigBee, Wi-Fi, WiMAX, Bluetooth, then industrial wireless technologies, industrial Ethernet technologies, 5G, LTE, and LoRa. So there are many such things that are possible. Different type of communications are possible. On the other hand, cyber physical system work with technologies like Wi-Fi, ZigBee, WiMAX, 3G, 4G. So these are all some of the examples of communication technology that is used by cyber physical system. Next we have internet connectivity. Internet connectivity is very, very important. Sensing of the physical world and is also there for IoT. IoT can be used in the physical devices. And then you have internet connectivity. The internet connectivity can be used different types of networking that is possible, like ZigBee, Wi-Fi, WiMAX, TCP/IP, anything it could be. And it is used for sensing the physical world. Basically, IoT is widely adopted in Europe and China. Let us look at cyber physical systems. They are domain specific. They store the data normally in a cloud server. They are scalable, but not to the extent of IoT. IoT consists of millions of devices. Security privacy concerns are also there, but it is different from IoT. And communication technology, we use Wi-Fi, ZigBee, WiMAX, 3G, Edge. So what kind of differences are there between the communication technology that is used by IoT and cyber physical system? You have a separate session, but still, to my knowledge, the amount of data that you are transferring in IoT devices, sometimes it could be small, but it could also be larger also. But in cyber physical system, also you have certain amount of data that is being collected by the physical devices, but you need to transfer them actually. But the amount of data that is collected by a cyber physical system is just large. On the other hand, the amount of data that is collected by IoT is very large. So that also you need to take into consideration. You have this 3C concept: control, computation, and communication. And basically, cyber physical systems are very popular in US and Europe. Okay, now with this diagram, we tell you the relationship between the different technologies. So you have wireless sensor network. So that is the innermost circle. And then you have IoT, this is nothing but Internet of Things. And then you have cyber physical system. And finally, you have Industry 4.0. So if you ask me, is Industry 4.0 different from cyber physical system? Yes. The reason is Industry 4.0 not only talks about automation, but it also talks about digitization. Digitization is much larger than cyber physical system. Therefore, the cyber physical system is one of the enabling technology for Industry 4.0. So that is the most important thing actually. IoT is also an enabling technology for cyber physical system. Wireless sensor network is an enabling technology for IoT. So you should understand the difference between these technologies. They are not one and the same, they are different. So now we have another question. So we talked about cloud, we talked about edge, we are talking about fog. Are all these technologies one and the same, or they are different, and what is the role in cyber physical system? So, for example, traditionally what we were doing is we had monolithic computing. That means you have just one device which does the computation. And after the invention of networking, the application was split into more than two, at least two. It could be n number of layers is possible, layered architecture. So you had client-server program. So the in client-server architecture, the application is divided into two parts. One which acts as the client, and the other one which acts as the server. So client-server was possible. Okay, and next, what we had is in distributed computing, you had different forms of distributed computing. For example, you have high performance computing, you had cluster computing, then you have grid computing, and now you have cloud computing. And we are also talking about edge computing and fog computing. What is the difference between these three: cloud, edge, and fog computing? So cloud is a kind of what you call it is a kind of providing access to a high performance computing through internet. Simply, I'm simplifying and saying. But then what is edge computing? Edge computing is provides the edge devices to process the data that they are actually collecting. So that is the difference between edge computing and cloud computing. Cloud computing is more centralized. On the other hand, edge computing is more distributed, and cloud computing happens at high performance computing devices like servers, high-end devices. On the other hand, edge computing happens at a low uh, uh, tail end of the communication. So it comes at the edge devices. What is this fog and how it is different? Fog is the intermediary technology between cloud and edge computing. So not all edge devices will have the capability to store and process the data. Therefore, we have these fog devices which will provide the ability, or that they act as a proxy devices for the edge devices for collecting and processing. The collection is done by the edge devices, but processing is done by at the fog devices. So you have to understand that these technologies are different. And all these technologies are enablers. And that's why you won't see them. You can't visualize. They are ubiquitous, but they are actually used everywhere. For example, cloud, you say that, well, I don't know about cloud. I never used cloud. It is not so. If you are using Gmail or any other mail service, then you are actually using cloud, because this Gmail itself is provided on top of a cloud environment. So we can't say that I'm not using this technique, that technique. We indirectly use all these techniques. Actually, these techniques are called as enabling technology. So that's right. Okay, now we have a formal definition for cyber physical system, which is given by NIST. NIST is a standardization body on behalf of the US government. Okay. So we will look into what they say. Cyber physical system comprises interacting digital, analog, physical, and human components. So it is not only physical and computational devices, but also human. So the human in loop is brought in by NIST definition. So basically, they consist of digital, analog, physical, and human components engineered for function through integrated physics and logic. These systems will provide the foundation of our critical infrastructure from that form the basis of emerging and future smart devices and improve our quality of life in many areas. So cyber physical systems are expected to bring advances in personalized healthcare, emergency response, traffic flow management, etc. It enables a smart and connected world. Okay, so that's what we talk about cyber physical systems. So this is the definition given by the NIST. So this is a very standard definition. So you may have other n number of definitions, but to identify whether they are talking about cyber physical systems or not, what you can do is you can look at the characteristics of the system, and we have already come up with the list of characters of a cyber physical system. So you need to compare with them. Okay. Well, now we move on. What is the architecture? Basically, let us look at, there are different possible architectures. Let us look at this layered architecture, how this layered architecture is working. So you have perception layer or physical layer, which consists of sensors and actuators. And then you have application layer, which is nothing but the cyber devices. And between these two, you have the network layer, which consists of routers and a gateway. So this is the very abstract layered architecture for cyber physical system. And now we will come to the and you have sensors which collect the data, and through the network node, you are sending it to a server. Okay, and the server may process, and you have event control model that makes a decision based on the events that are happening. And then once again, it is communicated to the physical environment through network nodes, and you execute a command on the physical devices. So this is the layered architecture for cyber physical system. There may be other types of architecture, but what we are talking about. Okay, now coming back, what are all the challenges in cyber physical system? One is the interoperability. I think someone mentioned about interoperability. Interoperability, because interoperability comes into picture when you have different components, and these components are manufactured by different vendors. Therefore, we need to ensure interoperability. They talk the same language that we have to ensure. So interoperability is more important. Security is also very, very important. We already talked about security and privacy also we were talking about, actually. Okay. This is very, very important actually. And then you have dependability, how far we can depend on these systems. So that dependability is also very much important. Sustainability is very, very important. Reliability and dependability are two different aspects. You have to understand that. Dependability defines how far you can depend on the technology, on the cyber physical system. Reliability talks about the robustness of the system. Okay, and then predictability is nothing but the accuracy. So we have defined different type of attributes and what they mean. For example, interoperability is about composability. Composability means the ability to compose a higher level device from basic components. So that is what we call as composability. Composability, scalability. Once you say that we are actually composing a cyber physical system from different sub systems, then heterogeneity comes into picture. So these things are part of interoperability. Security, if you take, you have CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And then you have dependability, which talks about reliability, maintainability, availability, and safety. Okay, safety is with respect to human. The system should not harm the humans in the loop. So that is very important. Predictability is more about composability and accuracy. So some of the attributes are there. For example, composability is there in predictability as well as interoperability. But these are all the parameters that contributes to different type of challenges. Reliability, we talk about robustness, we talk about predictability, maintainability. So these things are there. Sustainability is nothing but adaptability to different environment, resilience, reconfigurability, and the efficiency. So these are all, this comes under sustainability. So these are all some of the challenges. And if you are interested in research, if you are already an expert in, for example, you are an expert in security, then you can actually work on the security aspects of cyber physical system. Okay, so that is there actually. And then you are an expert of performance measurements. Then basically you can work on the predictability, that is nothing but the accuracy. And also you can work on sustainability, that is nothing but the efficiency of the cyber physical system. So maybe you are already an expert in a domain, but still you can actually upgrade your skills so that you will be able to work on to the new technology. So that is very important in modern. Okay, now how do I design a cyber physical system? That is very important. So one is the application requirement. So what is the application that I am going to work on with this cyber physical system? So that it is very much essential. So how does this requirement differ from a normal software product? The basically timing. So we all know that cyber physical systems are real-time applications. So the timing requirements are very important. So that we need to consider not only functional requirements, but also timing requirements are very important in cyber physical systems. Then how are we going to model this application? That is also very, very important. Modeling the application also very important. I will talk about this little later. So we need to identify the algorithms and the timing specification. That is very, very important. So time is a very important parameter in design. And next one is about the platform model. Also, we need to look at the platform first. The platform CBS nodes. So what do you mean by CBS node? It is nothing but the sensors, actuators, the computing elements, the network accessors. So these things we need to actually identify them. And then we also need to identify the platform model that will actually help us to specify the timing and other requirements. So that is very important. and then you have this design and implementation, and finally you are going to test. So now we have a question. See, cyber physical system, what type of model should I follow? For example, you have in software development, you have different models like waterfall model, iterative enhancement model, spiral model, like that you have different models. And with respect to hardware, you have V model, verification and validation model. So that is there actually. So which one should I follow? Should I follow a software engineering approach or system engineering approach? You have this, always you have these questions. So that's why we these type of models have been, this type of design has been come into picture. But it is not strict that you have to follow this model, that model. There are various models are there, and some of the models are suitable for certain type of application. So you have to look at the problem, and then you have to decide on that. Okay, now let us look at some of the examples of the cyber physical system. So you have a cyber part, then you have sensors and actuators. So, and with the computational platform, the sensors actually measure the physical environment, and that environment is actually processed by the cyber part, and then the decisions are made. So, and it is communicated to the physical world. So this is how it is there, but it is not just one single physical part. You have n number of physical part actually that constitute a system, a controlled system. For example, you have a car. In a car, you have n number of physical parts, and each part may be actually collecting some information, and that information is processed and a decision is made. So you can look at this, you can think about the physical part is for making decisions, for controlling the system, and the cyber part is for making the decision. And between these two, you have a network that enables the communication between the physical part and the cyber part. So that we call it as a network Internet of Things. And each individual component is a Internet of Things. So that's why we say that cyber physical system and Internet of Things are different, because in Internet of Things you are talking about a very particular system, but in cyber physical system, IoT plays as a sub part. So how do I model it? See, basically you have different type of modeling technique. So one, we take it as an equation-based model. Okay. And what is this equation-based model? It is an abstraction of the physical device. You have the system, and you have an abstract representation of the system based on equation. So you can look at this diagram for better understanding. And then you have these embedded systems, sensors and activators, and networking. So the embedded system provides the computational requirement. Okay. And you have different models for computations. Different models for computation. We use those models, and then you make a decision, and that decision is communicated to the physical model that will implement or that will control the physical object. So this is how we do a cyber physical system design. You can now we will look at the cyber physical system application. So we will look at this artificial pancreas. So this I was already discussing with you about the insulin pump. Okay. So what is it? So artificial pancreas is hybrid closed loop insulin delivery system. So that means a system closed loop means what? So there are two types of system. One is a closed loop and another one is a open loop. And here we are using hybrid closed loop. So what does it mean? Hybrid. It is closed loops are actually complete automation system. There is no human involved. So that's why we call it as a closed loop system. On the other hand, in an open loop system, a human is there and the final decision is actually taken by the human. And then we have hybrid. Why we are using the word hybrid? Sometimes, since this is a medical domain, we can't completely depend on complete automation. So we also have human intervention that is possible. And it is used as a rare case, not always. But in an open loop system, always the humans actually make the decision, and the system actually provides only information for the human to make the decision. So that's why we call it as a hybrid closed loop insulin delivery system that helps the people with the diabetes primarily with the type 1. So you know that diabetes are two types. One is type 1 and type 2. We can look at what type 1 diabetes is, type 2 diabetes, all those things using Google. Okay. So what this automatically and continuously control the blood glucose level by providing the substitute endocrine functionality of a healthy pancreas. So what happens is we have pancreas which segregates insulin, and this insulin segregation, what it does is it converts the sugar. Where do we get the sugar from? The sugar is the carbohydrates that we consume is converted into sugar, and that is actually absorbed by blood. And this blood is circulated throughout the body so that the individual organs that require energy will actually break the sugar into energy. So this is what is happening. To convert or to break the sugar into energy, you require insulin. Okay, so if the pancreas is not functioning properly, and then what happens is actually you will not to be able to get sufficient energy for the organs to function. So that to overcome this problem, we are using artificial pancreas, and artificial pancreas is nothing but hybrid closed loop insulin delivery system. Okay, in auto mode, what happens is the insulin delivery system automatically adjusts the basal insulin delivery every 5 minutes based on sensor glucose to maintain blood glucose level as close to a specific target level possible. So you have a target level. We will look at what is that target level later. So you have a target level, sugar level in the blood. So what you do is you measure the current sugar level in the blood. Accordingly, you decide whether to pump insulin or not. Okay. So you decide the amount of insulin to be injected based on the current sugar level of the blood in the blood. So that is what we are trying to do. So what is this pancreas test? The pancreas actually segregates 40 to 50 units of insulin daily in 2 steps. How they do it? Segregate at a low levels during fasting. That is what we call it as basal insulin segregation. So you have a basal level, and then it increases after you consume food. Within 10 minutes of eating food, the insulin actually insulin level increases, and from there on it actually keep on increasing the release as long as hyperglycemia is present. So until that point, after that it will stop, and once again it will come to the basal insulin segregation level. So that you have to understand. So there is some default value at which the pancreas produces insulin, and when you consume food, more insulin is actually generated when you consume the food. And once again, it comes to the base level, it drops to the base level. This is about the function of the pancreas. Okay, now what does this artificial pancreas or insulin pump will do? Okay. So the normal blood sugar level or the target level, a fasting blood sugar level less than 100 milligram is normal. And when you are actually not fasting, what should be, when you are consuming the food, what should be the sugar level? So it should be between like 100 to say 140. More than that amount or less than 100 milligram during fasting and more than 140 milligram after consuming food, then you are considered to be a diabetic. So this artificial pancreas or the insulin pump was first developed in 1963. See, still we are not using much in India. Okay, by Dr. Arnold Kadish. And then 1976, he invented wearable insulin pump. 1980s started to enter the market. Two companies were predominant in supplying the insulin pump, Minimed and Dicentron. These two people were doing. Minimed 502 is the first popular insulin pump. Minimed 512 first insulin pump to monitor glucose level, and it was actually delivered. It was available in the market from 2003. So you can look at the pictures. So this is the very first insulin pump you are carrying. See, look at the size, and now look at the size of the. So you can see that it is over a period of time it is actually decreasing in the size, but the functionality is the same. So this is how a modern insulin pump looks like. This pump is from a Minimed. Okay. So what it does, insert needle anywhere into your body, typically in abdomen, and you have to put three values: the basal rate, the bolus doses, and the correlational doses. So these things, what do you mean by basal dose? That is a default. That's what we are talking about. The default dose that you are going to send, or that is the insulin amount of insulin that is sent into your blood when you are fasting, when you are not having food. Okay. And then what you do is you measure your blood sugar, and accordingly you adjust the amount of insulin to be injected. That is what we call it as correlational dose. So this is how the insulin pump looks like. So you have the insulin reservoir here. Okay. This reservoir consists of insulin. Then you have various buttons that are available for operating the insulin pump. You have battery. Then you have a display that will. So earlier you saw that gives you like certain information like the time, the battery level, the networking, whether network is present or not, the amount of insulin that is available in the store available. All those things it will give you, and also it will give you the time. And then it also provides you a graph that shows you what is your insulin level. Okay. And then you have a battery, and then you have this delivery tube, and then you have this infusion set. So these things are all there. Okay. This is used to put this insulin pump onto your body, and this is the needle. So these things are all there. So how it works actually? So you have your skin, okay, and then you have this CTM sensor. If you look at this CTM sensor, you have a needle, and that penetrates your skin, and then it actually will be able to measure the blood sugar level. So you have a CGM transmitter, and then you have a receiver. So this will actually receive the data from the transmitter, Okay. So this is just sensing only, doesn't make any decision. So the decision will be made at the computational part. So this is the physical. So how do we convert the sugar level into electrical signal? So this is what we were talking about actually, that whatever the form in which the measurements are, for example, the thermistor, what we measure is a heat energy. And that will be actually converted into a digital form or electrical signal, electrical or electronic signal, which can be interpreted digitally and understandable by humans. So we don't know what do you mean by whether it is hot or cold. How do we determine? So we look at the temperature. If the temperature is below certain level, then it is cold. And if it is higher than certain temperature, then we call it as high or warm. Like that, you classify. So that is our own interpretation. So let us look at how it works out. So you have this glucose plus oxygen that pass through the sensor membrane. So you have a semi-permeable membrane, so that will actually take the glucose plus oxygen. Okay. And then that is converted. The sensor has a glucose oxidase enzyme, so which converts the glucose into uh, uh, glucose and oxygen to hydrogen peroxide. There is nothing but H2O. So and then you have an electrode. So you have a platinum electrode. So once this H2O2 is further broken down into gluconic acid and two electrons, and these electrons are further converted into electronic signals. The higher the glucose, the stronger the resulting electronic signals. So that is directly proportional to the amount of electrons that is released. So therefore, if your sugar level is higher, then the number of electrons that are released will be higher. Therefore, the signal will also be higher. Like that, we'll be able to measure. So this is with respect to sensor. So now you understand, and then what you have is you have a control algorithm. So you can look at earlier slide. Yeah, this one. So you have this sensor which is actually sensing your glucose level, and you have transmitter, and then you have a receiver. The insulin pump, you will receive it, and then you have a control. You decide how much amount of insulin that need to be pumped in based on the current sugar level, and then that algorithm that passes as a instruction to the pump, and that instruction is nothing but the amount of insulin that actually needs to be injected to the body. So this is how it works. So this is an example of a cyber-physical system. Okay. Well, now we come back and talk about the advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is it eliminates individual insulin injection. So as I told you earlier, you need to go to a hospital. You need to get the help of a medical expert to inject insulin into your body. Okay, and then this insulin pump delivers the correct dosage and at regular intervals. And also, what you can do is you can also take a lot of carbohydrates. That doesn't matter. And but that could also be a disadvantage. You need not do exercises because it is automatically taken care. The amount of that is pumped into your body but these carbohydrates are actually converted into sugar, and sugar is actually finally converted into fat, and unwanted sugar is converted into fat, and it is stored. So you become obese also. So that is the disadvantage. And the advantage is you need not worry about the carbs that you are consuming. And the diabetic control is more easier. You have a better control. So I would say that you have to combine this with your physical activity. So basically, it allows flexible lifestyle So you can choose what you want to eat and how much you want to. And also you can think about the various other physical activity that you do. So it provides alarm and alerts. So that means you increase the dependability on the insulin pump. And you get immediate feedback because you have a display and that shows you your current glucose level also. And slowly the patient should be also aware of all these aspects and you should learn from it because this requires a little bit of technical knowledge also. So that is also a disadvantage. So the monitors actually provide better information than just a static reading because it gives you a graph. So you can see, look at it, how your blood sugar level is increasing. So that is also very, very important. So you have the control, it is very safe to use. And it reduces HbA1c and glycemic variability. And there is no necessity to follow a strict diet, but I already warned you. Not following a strict diet can lead to weight gain. Sometimes the needle can fail out and then doesn't ensure proper insulin injection into the body. It is expensive. And you require, as I told you, also require some knowledge about the functioning of the insulin pump and the sugar level that you need to monitor and all those things. The another disadvantage is you have to always carry the insulin pump. So because every 5 minutes it is going to inject insulin into your body. So therefore it is actually, you can think of it is part of the, okay. So now we looked at the insulin pump, not only insulin pump, you may have other type of administration medical domain is also possible. One such work is we were working on a CLAD. We were developing a CLAD. What do you mean by CLAD? It is nothing but closed loop anesthesia delivery system. Like this insulin pump is much simple, but on the other hand, administration of anesthesia drugs is quite complex. What we had is actually we wanted to measure the current awakeness level of a patient and to administer the amount of anesthesia that you are giving to a individual. What is the challenge? The challenge is different types of operations require different amount or different dosage levels. The duration of the operation determines the amount of medicine that is anesthesia that needs to be given to the patient. And also the dosage also depends on the individuals. We can't have a common equation for pumping the anesthesia. You have to look at the physique of a person, look at his weight, height. There are certain physical parameters, body parameters that you need to give as a input to the system. The age of a person, sex of a person, whether it's a male or female, all those things actually decide the amount of dosage that you need to give. Here, in an insulin pump, it is more simple. But with respect to anesthesia drug delivery system, the body of a person is considered as a compartmental system. So we used a 3-compartment model, and then the flow of the fluid from one compartment to another compartment is actually can be modeled using PKPD model. So what is that PKPD model? It is pharmacokinetic model. So that's what we were using in our system. And there are a lot of constants in you have a equation that governs the flow of liquid from one compartment to another compartment. So how do you decide that? For that, you have a lot of constants, and these constants vary from one patient to another person. So that is the kind of challenge we had. You look at the insulin pump when it was first developed, and when that becomes more popular. When was autonomous insulin pump has come? That is a very long way to go actually. Still, we did it actually. So as I told you earlier, the development of such system is not easy because it is once again a multidisciplinary approach. You have a medical expert, that is a doctor, there is a normal doctor, and then you also require anesthesia expert, and you also require computational scientist, and to design this pump, you require a knowledge of instrument. So we had a team. Within the team, we had all these people, and then we tried to design a closed loop anesthesia delivery system. So that is one project that we have worked. Another aspect of my experience with respect to cyber physical system is security aspects of cyber physical system. So we have actually worked on that also. So we have actually developed or we have addressed some of the security challenges of the cyber physical system. So whenever there is a flow of information from one part of the system to another part of the system, or whenever the data is stored, then we need to take care of uh, the security aspect. So how do you actually ensure security? The security, we have to use encryption algorithms, encryption and decryption techniques. So what we were working on is on a hybrid algorithm based on machine learning technique for the encryption and the decryption. So that's what we're doing actually. And then another important aspect is so now we are in the era of quantum computing. So what does it mean? It means that if you are actually coming up with some security algorithm, and the strength of an algorithm is actually determine the amount of time required to break the algorithm using a brute force method. But quantum computing allows to break the encryption algorithm in a short period of time. Because you apply a parallel technique, so therefore it takes less amount of time compared to a sequential processing. So that is the challenge. On the other hand, see, if you look at the amount of data that is collected and the amount of the time within which they are transferred. So for example, if you have every 1 minute, every 60 seconds, you have update on a particular value of a parameter, then how much time it takes for you to encrypt and decrypt that information? It is higher than the time required for transmitting the data from one end to another end. Then what happens is there is no meaning in encrypting because the data is generated at a very high rate. You have to encrypt and decrypt also. So you need to have an encryption algorithm that actually encrypts and decrypts the data at a faster rate. So if you want to have a faster rate, then what you have to do is you have to reduce the key size. So you can look at the literature now. We have key encryption algorithm that uses keys which are of less length. So when you are using encryption algorithm which are the key length is less, then the challenge is that it can be easily broken using brute force method. So these two contradicting aspects are there. So that is a challenge in cyber physical system regarding the security. So you have to ensure that you are selecting a suitable key size, and also you have to look at the amount of data that is being transferred in a cyber physical system. So if you look at it, it will be less than even 1 kilobyte. So if that is the size of the data that you want to transmit, And if you have a huge size, for example, number of bits that you are using in your encryption, if it is larger, then the encrypted data size will be higher than the plain text. So then you have to transmit and it will take more time. So that's what I was talking. So what is the data at which the data? So what is the rate at which the data is generated? What is the amount of time that is required for actually encrypting the data? What is the amount of time that is required for decrypting data? So these things are very important when you decide on the algorithm. This is one aspect, encryption and decryption. The another aspect is ensuring privacy. What do you mean by privacy? See, for example, you have a mobile number. Mobile number is just a 10-digit. A mobile number as it is not a security threat. But when a mobile number is associated with a person or any other entity, then that becomes a privacy information. If someone knows what is my mobile number, they don't know that can be misused. So that becomes more challenging. So just a mobile number is not an issue, but when a mobile number and a person with whom it is associated is revealed, then that becomes more challenging. So these things you have to address. This is what we call it as privacy. So when you are transferring the information, so not all the information needs to be encrypted, but certain information definitely needs to be encrypted. So you need to identify that, and accordingly you have to choose your algorithm for encryption. So this is a big challenge. In a lot of work is still ongoing. So we have done some work, some research on that, but still we are actually in the process of doing a lot of research on that particular topic. And third aspect is actually trust. So how far I can trust, or that is more not just computer science, but it is also behavioral science. So when humans are involved, psychology of humans also comes into picture. So that behavior aspect also you need to think about it. And not only behavior aspect of human, but also behavioral aspects of the systems also we need to model. So the normal behavior of a system and the abnormal baseline, the normal behavior of a system, then it is very easy for us to determine the abnormal behavior with the current measurements of the behavior of the system. So that is also very, very important. So these things are there. So that is what we are currently working on. So if you are interested, you can ping me to know more about it. Well, now, so we have come to the question answer. If you have some questions, let us actually discuss about it. Dear participants, do you have any questions?
Participants, if you have any queries, you can post in the chat box. Yeah, I think we'll have 5 minutes in case you have any question answers. Okay. So if there are no questions, then we'll conclude the session. So, thank you so much for that insightful session. This really needs all that case studies, especially sir, and practical very clear explanation of what cyber physical systems was. So I think it is a good start. For the next few days, we'll be having further more sessions on networking, security, little more in detail.
Ma'am, there is a question. Someone has asked in the artificial pancreas, how to adjust the insulin level. Need some more. Yeah, you have a control algorithm. So control algorithm is nothing but a mathematical equation. So that is a very standard equation that is available. So using that equation takes only one parameter, your current blood insulin level. So using that, you will determine the dosage level. So that will be administered to the patient. So that's how you do it. In the other one that we were discussing about the anesthesia drug delivery system, you have a lot of parameters, not just one parameter actually. So there you have to observe various parameters, and those parameters based on that. Once again, it is a standard mathematical equation that we call it as PKPD model, and you substitute the variables. It will have few variables and constant. Constant, as I told you, will be determined based on the patient's details. But they are constant, like the weight of a person, the height of a person, the sex of a person, age of a person. These are all fixed. They don't change very often. For example, age changes once in a year, and other things normally remain stable actually. So those parameters plus some measured parameters like the concentration of the liquids in the various compartments that goes as a variable to the equation, and based on that we actually determine the amount of dosage that we need to give.
Sir, there are a few more questions, sir.
Yeah, how to implement cyber physical system in smart grid actually. Yeah, smart grid. Once again, I have not done anything on side smart grid. What we have worked on is we have worked on demand forecasting. So what we do is we all know that nowadays we have smart meters and other things. So that will provide you like the historical data. So using those historical data, you will be able to predict the future load demands. And also on the production side, also you can use the historical data, how much amount of electricity is produced. Based on that, you can use machine learning algorithm for prediction. So that's what we have done. Not beyond that, we haven't done anything beyond that actually. Prediction of workload and the prediction of production, electricity production. So basically when you look at electricity, you can broadly classify as a household consumption and industrial consumption. And that varies based on various parameters, like the day of a week. If it is for example, in industry, there will be a weekly off. So during that time, the consumption will be less. And with respect to household, you determine like whether the climatic condition, whether on a hot day, many will be switching on their AC. But on a rainy day, many will be switching off the AC. So climatic data, you can correlate with that and determine the demand. So that is also there. Is there any changes in monitor system due to temperature variation? If I assume that it is with respect to this insulin pump, no, there is nothing with respect to temperature, body temperature. Yeah, we will be continuously monitoring with a single sensor, and that period is I think 14 days. So currently it allows you to continuously monitor for 14 days. After 14 days, that sensor need to be thrown away and a new one has to be injected. So that is there, and that is the today's technology. Maybe the number of days could actually maybe increased in future, but as of now, continuous monitoring of sugar level is possible for 15 days. Will it be able to send signal in case of decreased or increased? Yes, it will generate alarms. It will generate alarms, and it will also currently alarms are there to indicate abnormalities. But you can work on that. It's quite interesting problem. You can actually try to add additional modules so that they can send a message to the health workers, like nurse or a hospital nearby, or their family members, that the sugar level has fallen down. Like that, you can actually work on that. Actually, current insulin commercial in research it is possible, but in current insulin pumps that are available just generates alerts and alarms. That's it. And actually now we have new insulin pumps that can be connected to your mobile device also. So alerts and can be sent to the mobile device also. Currently, do we have to attend any courses? Yeah, you can attend a course already in NPTEL. Introduction to Cyber Physical System course is there, which covers not only introduction to cyber physical system, but it also covers how to model cyber physical system. So that this is once again is a multidisciplinary course. Much of mathematics is there, so you should have a sufficient knowledge of mathematics. NPTEL course is there already. You also have bachelor's degree and master's degree also, but NPTEL course is there, that is more than sufficient. Now we have your mail. Yeah, you can get it from ma'am. How different working nanobots for drug delivery. Yeah, targeted drug delivery system is more a little bit of advanced system. But see that what we are talking about is more of a cyber physical system because it is developed for one specific function. One specific application. For example, you have an insulin pump, you have a anesthesia drug delivery system. Like that, you have different devices for different. Okay, you don't require A and all here to make a decision. They are all simple mathematical, well-developed mathematical. So, this is my mail. I think I answered most of the questions. Still, you have some questions you can actually always send it to.
Yeah, maybe I will wind up. In case any further questions, you can always mail sir or get in touch with sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So with that, we end the Q&A session. To formally conclude today's proceedings, I invite Mrs. Neelanarayanan, Assistant Professor, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I take immense pleasure in delivering the vote of thanks for day one of our 5 days virtual FDP on cyber physical system. First and foremost, I would like to express a heartfelt gratitude to today's speaker, Dr. V. Neelanarayanan, for his insightful and engaging session on Introduction to Cyber Physical System and Applications. Your presentation has laid a strong foundation for the rest of the program. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and contribution. We are also deeply grateful to our Honorable President, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar, for his continued support and visionary leadership, which has been a constant source of encouragement for all our academic endeavors. Our sincere appreciation goes to our Vice Chancellor, Dr.S.Geethalakshmi, Registrar, Dr. C.B. Palanivel, Additional Registrar, Dr. V. Cyril Raj, Advisor Dr. Mehta, and Dean of Engineering and Technology Dr. Ethiraj for their unwavering support and guidance in organizing this FDP. A special note of thanks to our head of the department, Dr.N.Kanya, for her dynamic leadership and encouragement to all my dedicated colleagues whose teamwork and planning have ensured the smooth execution of today's event. Last but not least, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants who joined us today. Your presence has made this event a truly interactive and enriching experience. Once again, thank you to everyone who has contributed to the success of today's event. We look forward to welcoming you for the upcoming sessions in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So every expert was once a beginner. So let this FDP be a stepping stone for all our academicians for your next innovation. So continue to be participate enthusiastically tomorrow also and in the upcoming days. So tomorrow, day 2, we'll be having with us Dr. A. Badivel, Professor and Head Department of AI and DS from Geetham University. He'll be enlightening us on the topic Communication and Networking in CPS. Make sure to join us using the same Zoom link which is posted in the WhatsApp group. So see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, have a great ahead. Thank you.